It can be edited.
All right.
All right. We are live. CREvolve episode number 8. Bucky Beeman, commercial real estate agent in Rochester, Minnesota. Passionate about social media marketing and growing the CRE ecosystem, as some would call it.
Very much so. Hi, Bucky. This is Julie Augustin. I am with Foundry Commercial, and I'm actually calling today from our Charlotte office, which is we're right in uptown area here. And so I focus on retail and mainly focus in the Carolinas and the Southeast.
And who is our guest today?
Hello, my name is Alex Rangel, and I am the founder and CEO of Ravti.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Alex. We're excited
Absolutely.
to learn more about your company. So what we love to do, you bet, what we love to do is start off our show with the CRE Wild. And I'm going to go ahead and start just because then no one can take mine. Yes. So I just saw this, I think it was on LinkedIn. News funnel buying CRE tech intersect. Yes, I knew it. So I won't go into too many of the details other than I just saw that. And I think and I don't know a lot about these companies, how they make income, anything like that. But I think what is apparent to me is the overall push for acquisition related to media and how media companies really are creating a following in our industry, and they're gaining attention, and that attention creates value. And it's interesting to see that merger occur. So sorry, I stole that one from you, Julie.
Oh, that's all right. I'm going to continue running with it, though, because it is such great news. And so I knew Pierce back when he was in Florida, and just to see him grow. And, just he took what we all are sharing here is our interest. He specifically had that. I've got an interest in commercial real estate technology, and he saw it early on. And like, how do I bring people together, the ecosystem, right? And that's how he started CRE Tech Intersect, and to see what a great community he has built. And to then now, I haven't talked with him or with Sarah or Michael, but I mean, I just think that they saw, just like you were saying, the exposure and saw how first built it, and now they can take it to another level with that continued partnership, and by purchasing that, and it's really exciting to see where it's going to grow into.
Awesome. Alex, what are you seeing out there?
I mean, I think the fun part is obviously commercial real estate is a huge industry, and it has been for as long as we know. And, the neat thing is obviously not just the capital that's being invested in improving the tech side and the commercial real estate, but you're starting to see these acquisitions, kind of like what you're talking about, and mergers, right? And so obviously first comes the capital and the clients and the users. And then I think that, the drastic improvement in the commercial real estate landscape will certainly be seen here in the coming years, like we're seeing, and for decades to come.
Absolutely. And then the other one, I don't know if we talked about it on episode number 7, but the acquisition of Floored from CBRE. And that's another, as you mentioned, more and more acquisitions occurring. So we are excited. Julie, I'll let you go ahead and introduce our guests and start it off.
Oh, great. Well, I'll be glad to introduce Alex. Alex and I think we first met through the University of Florida board events, right? For the real estate trends last year. And just have become friends since then. We've kept in touch and seen each other at ICSC Recon and some other events since then. And company grow, and we're going to have Alex as well as be featured within the UF Trends conference this year in February as well. So, but yeah, I'd love to. I've heard the intro to you and to your company, but would love to share that with our viewers, and then just kind of give your background and the history of Ravti.
Absolutely, yeah, Julie, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been really nice to know. I think just rewind just a short year ago, before the UF conference, before we had met, before ICSC Recon, we were kind of like a deer in headlights and didn't even understand that these big conferences were out there. So it's been neat in just a short time to obviously link up with you and have your help, and learn about how helpful these conferences can be.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your company. I'm excited. I will tell you, I don't know much. I've looked at LinkedIn and I've looked at your website, and that's about as far as I've gone. So I'm going to learn a bunch right now.
Awesome. Well, we are Ravti, and we're a company that's helped revolutionizing a completely outdated industry, which is the HVAC industry, which is heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So the reason we focus on HVAC is because it's the largest maintenance and repair expense for commercial real estate owners. It's over $100 billion industry in just the United States. And this is kind of absurd because it's all managed literally on carbon copy paper still today. So we're the only commercial real estate tech company that we know solving this massive problem. So what we do is we provide software to track, manage, and purchase all HVAC services for sophisticated commercial real estate clients.
Excellent. And share a little bit about your story as to how do you fall into HVAC? I'll call it probably a not so sexy industry, and you are merging tech along with this industry, we'll say, to make it a little more sexier. So how do you get into that industry, and where did the story start?
Perfect. Absolutely. So I was actually graduating from the University of Florida with my engineering degree, and talking with peers and friends of where you're going to go work. And, obviously the GEs, the Northrop Grummons, the Lockheed Martins, even Disney, and all these different firms are hiring, and Microsoft and all these with your engineering degree. And then one of my friends randomly said, I'm going to go work for a company called Trane, Trane, the HVAC manufacturer. And I was kind of laughing at him. I was like, why are you going to go do that? And he said, it's easy. He's like, it's 100% commission. He's like, and who can't sell air conditioning in Florida? So I kind of, piqued my interest a little bit. I said, hey, that sounds interesting. So, I graduated 6 months after he did, kind of paid close attention to how he was enjoying it, and interviewed with them, got a job, and actually first did an internship and then worked with them full time. So I was a sales engineer at Trane for 5 years. So, pretty random, but 100% commission role. And so really Ravti was created out of the pain that I felt of my clients. And it's kind of this opaque industry that kind of feels, almost dirty in some cases, of how you're buying stuff and how you're selling. And a lot of times the things I was selling, we weren't even making or manufacturing. It was just buying and reselling. So really, I kind of liken it to the same way that, 15, 20 years ago, our parents and families would go to a travel agent. Mm-hmm. That travel agent would group everything together, your airfare, your hotels, your rental car, your trains, whatever it was, group it all together, certainly get their take from it, and then give you your trip. Versus now you have Kayak, Expedia, Travelocity, Hotels.com, all these sites that literally us as the consumer can go on and very clearly and easily see the reviews of a place, how much it is, and pay that online easily.
Awesome. And then talk a little bit, I'm curious as to what exactly have you built? What does it look like now, and what maybe did it look like? What did it come from?
Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. So actually, so the first thing we do is we start with a full inventory of all of our clients' HVAC information. So what that includes is pictures of every unit. Think of a Google map with geotag where every single HVAC unit is, organized by suite if it's a triple net. And then from that point, we allow both the tenants and the property managers or owners to request anything, whether it's maintenance prices, repair prices, and ultimately capital replacements. And one of the things what we do in a capital replacement when you're replacing an air conditioning unit is just like today, if your home air conditioning unit goes out, you basically pick up the phone, you call a contractor, they come out, they give you a price. And behind the scenes, what they're doing is essentially buying that unit from the manufacturer, putting their markup and margin on it, and then selling it to you along with their labor. So at Ravti, we allow our clients to purchase the equipment direct from the manufacturers and then purchase the install direct from their preferred vendors locally. So that cuts out about 18 to 40% on large capital replacement expenses.
That's huge.
Very neat. Mm-hmm. And how has that been received in the market overall? Have you had much traction, and kind of share about that customer relationship?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's, right now we actually have over 100 million square feet live. Every client's been a paying client. No one's gotten anything for free. I think the special thing about real estate is whenever you can provide value, people are willing to pay for it. So that's I think a huge benefit of commercial real estate tech in general as well, versus just a lot of other stuff that, might be free and you're the client. Mm-hmm. So we have over 100 million square feet and growing every day. So that's a lot of fun. And so that's the traction part of it. But yeah, I think one of the neatest things is one of our clients She's actually head of property management of the Americas for, one of the most sophisticated REITs out there. Literally told me, she said, 1, we have no idea what HVAC we have on our buildings. 2, we have no idea if our tenants are actually maintaining their equipment. 3, we have no procurement process to take advantage of our size and scale. And 4, we have no data to make better decisions moving forward on our HVAC. So I kind of chuckled and I said, I think you said that back to me better than I could possibly tell you.
Right. Talk about, you just did my sales for me. Right.
Exactly. And it was nice because she gave me the pitch back, digested it, and then we kind of chuckled, and she's like, it sounds like that's exactly what you do. It's like, yes, absolutely. That's exactly what we do for you. And she said, I like to think we're one of the most sophisticated REITs in the world. She goes, so clearly no one else is doing this either, except for, our clients, our clients at this point. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of shake it up. And I think a lot of our clients fall into 2 buckets. One is either, oh, no, HVAC's not our responsibility, or I just call my preferred vendor. And then those folks are kind of, I would say the longer tail folks, or, the early adopters and the folks who are forward thinking say, hey, you know what? We don't have a strategy for HVAC. And, we really don't know how to tackle this because it's sophisticated and it's technical. And so those folks are certainly, all ears. And once we sit down and talk with them, a lot of times those people end up becoming our best clients because they give us a lot of excellent feedback that we can continue to improve the offering.
That's good. Yeah, that's one of my questions to you as far as, for 2017 type goals of adding to the platform, that feedback that you've gotten from some of your larger clients. Is there something that you can share with us that you're working on to add? Yeah,
absolutely. I think the fun thing is data, right? Before this, no one had any idea of what they should pay, what they, what people should pay for services, right? Because we can talk about HVAC for days here, and I'm certainly happy to nerd out on it. But if I mention capacitor, contactor, compressor, condenser coils, everyone's exactly, and people just keep paying this. So one of the things that is on the horizon here for 2017 is, now I guess if we go to Google Flights or Kayak and we look up in the top right corner of a flight that we're trying to buy from Florida to California, it basically gives you that percentage indicator of, hey, this is a good time to buy or a bad time to buy. And kind of where you stack up on what the average price of this flight is and that. So, the neat thing is what we're doing is certainly as we continue to gather tens of thousands of HVAC jobs and prices, not just being able to tell, what that price is and what you should be paying, what percentile your price is, but then also boil down to zip code. So what we've seen a lot is in the mid-Atlantic area, Washington, D.C. is a very, very pricey market for HVAC. Versus Florida's less expensive, right? California is kind of middle tier, which you would expect differently. And then the Northeast, Boston and New York is also another expensive area naturally. So it's been nice to be able to not just determine what prices are, but also by zip code, by region, by area. So it's been a lot of fun, and we'll see more of that in 2017.
Oh yeah, and that's something that's, like you said, when you were talking about the compactor, you lost me there. But right. When you talk about pricing and where you can really show some real numbers to that, that's very interesting. And then trends too. Right. As far as if you're going to make a big purchase, for multiple centers, should you do that in October? Would that make a difference for your clients or other time frame? Absolutely.
The data we're literally pulling now is. It pains me when I see a client replacing an HVAC unit in July, August, September, right? And I say, we've all used Uber and Lyft, and when we go to a football game, a baseball game, a concert, a show, when we leave that event, we know we're going to be paying prime time or surge, right? So seeing those replacements in those months certainly pains me because certainly that's when those companies are as busy as they can be in doing that. And the other tough part is a lot of times property managers just aren't armed with the knowledge that they. It's just not readily available online for them to know the right questions to ask or, the right things to get in their proposals. So we're there to help that as well, provide them a layer of expertise and not have them, deploying capital in an area that might not be worth it. Yeah, and I could see just as far as the value that you're bringing there, as far as you could see where you could really have someone in-house that's really spending a lot of time doing this research, but then it's just limited right to your particular area, your particular centers, where now with your larger client base, you're able to share with greater scope. Absolutely. I think that's another thing why commercial real estate is so neat too, because even companies who want to do things internally, whether it's a leasing platform, whether it's HVAC, whether it's, all their expenses, all this type of stuff, even our largest clients, right? They don't, the data that they can collect is still just a fraction of the data we're able to collect. So, certainly we don't share data, and, everything's still private by owner, by client, but it's nice to be able to distill the data and the numbers down and kind of turn that to a vanilla, or not showing anything specifically, but deliver that back to our clients.
Yeah. And, to bring it back to, Bucky and I are focused on leasing, and, that's something that I find so interesting as far as, you hear you talking, and it's really property management that you can see the huge numbers for, but, when Bucky and I are showing space, especially to some smaller tenants, they have no idea to try to track down, they're asking, well, if I'm taking on responsibility for this HVAC, I need to know the warranty, I need to know the age, et cetera. And to track down that takes a long time. And
absolutely. And it's a paper process. So, so I like to boil it down. The 3 asset classes we focus on are office, retail, and industrial. So certainly office is more of that full service. We save a lot of capital there by allowing them to purchase more intelligently. But really the retail and industrial is where we've really seen a lot of growth. And the reason is exactly what you hit on. I mean, Bucky and Julie, when's out of the last 100 deals you did, how many times was the HVAC just completely not a part of it?
Yeah, it's always a discussion.
It's always seems to be in the 9th inning that someone's now asking for, hey, what's the HVAC info? You're here ready to close a deal, and then the HVAC's holding us up for 2 days or sometimes 2 weeks. So what we do is, one of the neat things actually is, we've always been focused on property management. One of the neat things actually is the leasing agents now have logins. So for our clients, the leasing agents have logins, and they're actually logging in twice as much as the property managers are. So anytime they have a deal and it's coming down the pipe, one of the things that's really neat is the leasing agents are now logging in, getting that HVAC info to share with their tenants, and then sharing that in real time to help close those deals quicker. So that's been a lot of fun.
I got a couple of comments. So one is, well, you're on leasing agents logging in. I think a reason for that, like in our market, the utility companies, HVAC, the gas bill, they're still sharing, but the electric and water, they're saying for confidentiality reasons, they can't share the averages anymore. And I don't know, maybe they're getting too many phone calls. That could be one reason. But here we are trying to help our client to get the averages. And unless we're the owner, we can't get that average. So I wonder how a system like this starts providing transparency for the leasing agents, which in turn helps the clients or the selling agents, if you will. And that could solve a pain point if that's something that continues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that something that Ravti does provide? Is the energy usage or no?
So currently not right now. I mean, I certainly think that, as we continue to grow, it's certainly something that a lot of people are interested in. And I think the infrastructure currently to just turn that switch on is really pricey. But as we start to do more replacements and there's better technology, we'll be able to tie those things directly into the platform.
That's awesome.
So not a 2017 goal, but certainly at some point here very quickly.
Yeah, because I can see the need for that, and just a lot of focus on the efficiency of the systems. That's good.
Absolutely.
I would have a question for you. I actually had a conversation with a commercial inspector here last week, and I said, I'm amazed at how many investors in our market buy buildings, and it can be a $3 million multi-tenant building. It can be a $1 million single tenant building, and they don't know anything about the building. They buy it based on the numbers, based on the income, based on some comparables, but they don't know the actual mechanicals that are in this building. And I started saying to the inspector, how can you start using your services to really sell, as I called the building manual, to these people and making it obvious that they need it? What would you say to some of these smaller building owners of how eventually they could use technology like this? Is it coming? Is there a service provider? Does yours work with smaller asset owners? What would you say to that?
Yeah, so we've actually had clients that were purchasing a building. So some of our existing clients see the data and the information we can give them back, literally line item of every HVAC, what the age of it is, what condition it's in, the estimated replacement value, when it should be replaced, all sorts of things. We've actually had our clients that were buying assets essentially pay our first year fee for us to give them that report, with that data that we have and the intelligence we have. So yeah, I mean, I kind of view it as a Carfax report. It's not a matter of if, but when. Certainly being an HVAC nerd, I would never buy an asset without at least, running it through a Ravti, or, at least the data we have. But, I certainly can't, make that the industry standard. So I think that'll come with time.
Awesome. How would pricing work like something in that nature? Is it based on square footage, system size? What do you look at?
Yeah, exactly. We had actually a few of our earlier clients on a per unit basis, right? So depending on the number of units they had, they paid a fee per year for that. And what we noticed is it's really hard for me to sit here in front of the two of you and to take over your portfolio and say, okay, well, we think you're going to have this many units. So we basically just switched that to a square foot model, where now we can sit down and say, okay, you have 2.5 million square feet of a portfolio. This is your price for that.
Very neat. And what would you say to, and the reason I ask is because I have a client that we're hopefully working with to acquire a building here in Rochester that is in the HVAC industry.
Awesome.
What do you say to some of those service providers? I'm sure some of the viewers know, their go-to person.
Absolutely.
How can they work with you? How can they learn from you? Things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're completely vendor neutral. So ultimately what we like to do is, if you have a good relationship with your vendors, we just pull them on the platform, and instead of the RFQs and quotes and bids going from property manager's inbox to that preferred vendor, and now if they need multiple prices, kind of literally sharpieing out the price and sending it to two others, all that happens now is whenever that property manager requests something, it comes through Ravti, and then we disseminate that to their preferred vendors.
Great.
So again, like the kayak and Expedia example, by no means are we telling you have to fly Delta or you have to fly Southwest or American. We're just giving you those prices so you can pick. I mean, a lot of times vendors say, oh, well, then it's just low price. And that's not the case at all. I mean, a lot of times some of our clients pay more for their, the person they're used to and the person they want to continue to do business with, because they have a good relationship. And we don't ever want to stop that, those grassroots relationships. But certainly, it's nice even from a managing director or C-suite level to know that there's not any of these, baseball tickets for business kind of thing at the grassroots level.
Very neat. And how about for preventative maintenance and or filters? So there's a company in Southeast Minnesota called waterfilters.net, and they've really become a great e-commerce business here in Southeast Minnesota. Are you working with, like the Amazon of filters, or are you still doing that through the vendors? How is preventative maintenance and filters working?
Yeah, absolutely. So PMs will bid out the preventative maintenance as well. So, the neat thing too is, I'll jump into retail since both you folks are retail here, and I'm sure a handful of the listeners will be as well. The neat thing about retail is let's say there's 20 suites in a center, right? A lot of times of those, maybe 8 to 10 or 12 is actually doing their maintenance. And those are usually the big box stores and a lot of the national retailers. And outside of that, people probably aren't. But of those 8 or 10 or 12 that are doing their maintenance, of those 20 tenants, odds are they're probably using 8 to 10 different service companies, right? Just for whatever relationships they have. So the nice thing is what we do is we make sure that everyone's doing their maintenance. And then also when people aren't or need prices, we're actually bidding it to the preferred vendors locally. So now when that provider starts to take over not just 1 or 2 suites, but starts to take over 8, 10, 12, 16 suites, the price for all the tenants is actually falling substantially. Because a lot of that cost built in with the maintenance is a lot of the windshield time. And for the filter side, like you said, Bucky, we don't, on the retail industrial side, we aren't procuring that stuff directly for them. We're still allowing the provider to do that. But on the office side, we're absolutely, getting down as granular as the filter and belt stuff, and then drop shipping those when they need to be replaced for the facility engineers there.
Awesome. And for the commercial real estate agents that listen, I think this just becomes another company that we can put in our toolbox to bring up to property owners, to bring up to tenants, and really show that, myself, Julie, those that listen are on the cutting edge of what's coming as far as building systems and the future of tech.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this is right. Exactly that. It's another toolbox. It's another resource.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I'm all questioned out. Julie, do you have any other questions? I had a bunch of them.
No, that was great. And I just thank you very much, Alex, for joining us, newlywed, and we're so glad that you were able to join us, and looking forward to seeing you. Anyone that's catching this and We'll be in Orlando on February 23rd and 24th. Please join us for the University of Florida Trends Conference, where you can see Alex and I as well.
And Alex, where can we learn more about your company?
So I would certainly say, I mean, the power of the internet is very special. So obviously, happy to have anyone come and click on ravti.com, which is ravti.com. Or, they're happy to email us as well. You can email your friends at ravti.com as well. And we're happy to have a conversation. And if you just want to learn more of if we can help you in any way.
Great. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Bucky. Thanks, Julie. Hopefully I didn't put you to sleep talking about HVAC today.
Not at all.
That's probably the most exciting HVAC conversation I've had in a long time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.